Welcome to the Coins channel, and most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. Think about it, the small, unassuming Jefferson nickel sitting in your hand right now could be the one that changes your life forever. You might have dozens of them lying around in a jar, gathering dust, never once realizing that one of them could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's right, a simple 1997 Jefferson nickel, minted in Philadelphia, has become the stuff of legends among collectors. What looks like an ordinary 5-cent coin could actually be hiding an extraordinary secret, because one rare 1997 nickel is estimated to be worth a jaw-dropping $370 million today. Yes, you heard that right, $370 million for a nickel that might still be out there in circulation, waiting for someone like you to find it. And before we dive into the incredible story behind this coin's creation, mistakes, and mind-bending value, stick with me until the end, because after this 1997 mystery, we'll uncover even more unbelievable Jefferson nickels that defy all logic, each one more shocking than the last. You'll want to stay for what's coming. Now, back to 1997, a year that marked the end of one era and the beginning of another for the Jefferson nickel series. The United States Mint in Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of these coins that year, and on the surface, nothing seemed unusual. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel had been in production since 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic Monticello home on the reverse. By 1997, collectors had grown used to minor variations and wear, but no one expected a minting anomaly that would rewrite the rules of numismatics forever. It began with a handful of reports from coin enthusiasts who noticed something strange about their nickels. Under magnification, the details of Jefferson's portrait looked subtly different, sharper in some places, distorted in others. Then came the whispers. A handful of 1997 nickels struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of being made from the standard copper-nickel alloy, some coins had been accidentally struck on planchets intended for foreign currency. These off-metal errors, combined with a near-perfect strike and a mirror-like finish, created coins that were instantly unlike anything else in the mint's modern history. As experts examined them, they realized that this wasn't just a random mistake. It was a once-in-a-lifetime minting phenomenon. The story gets even stranger when you realize how it was discovered. In 2003, a collector at a coin show in Baltimore purchased a roll of nickels for a few dollars, intending to resell them. As he unwrapped one roll, a particular coin caught his attention under the fluorescent light. It had an unusual luster and an off-tone sheen, almost as if silver had seeped through its surface. He sent it to be graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the results shocked everyone. The coin was not only an off-metal error but was struck with precision rarely seen outside of proof coins. PCGS graded it MS-68, virtually flawless. Word spread fast, and suddenly the hunt was on. Collectors scoured bags, rolls, and collections looking for more 1997 anomalies. But only a few ever surfaced, and their origins remain a mystery. Some experts believe these were experimental strikes conducted at the Philadelphia Mint during a transition in metal suppliers. Others think they were the result of a misfeed, foreign planchets intended for a test run of overseas coins that got mixed with domestic blanks. Either way, these coins became the holy grail of Jefferson nickel errors. Auction houses began to buzz with rumors about private offers. One of these rare 1997 nickels allegedly changed hands in a private sale for over $50 million in the early 2010s, and by the time major collectors and museums began competing for ownership, the price skyrocketed. Its current estimated value? Around $370 million, depending on the condition and provenance. An unimaginable figure for a 5-cent coin. But what truly makes this coin so captivating isn't just its price. It's the idea that any one of us could still stumble upon one today. Many of the 1997 nickels are still out there, circulating silently through vending machines, bank rolls, and forgotten change jars. Imagine being the person who finds it. The small moment when you flip a coin and realize the ridges, the tone, or even a tiny doubling of Jefferson's eye isn't quite right. That's when your heart skips a beat, because you know this might be the one. There's also the legend of a 1997 nickel found in an old dresser drawer in Pennsylvania. A a story passed around coin forums for years. A retired mint employee reportedly gifted it to his grandson, saying only, "Keep this one safe." The boy, now a man, later learned it matched the same rare die variety as the $370 million specimen. He still hasn't sold it, claiming it's a piece of history too priceless to trade. Whether that story is true or not, it keeps the myth alive, and that's what makes numismatics so thrilling. Every coin tells a story, and every story has a mystery waiting to be uncovered. So, if you have any 1997 p nickels at home, grab a magnifying glass and start looking. Check for off-metal coloring, sharper than normal strike details, or even a faint doubling around Jefferson's portrait or the word liberty, because that tiny imperfection could be your key to a fortune. And before you think this is where the excitement ends, think again. The Jefferson nickel series hides more than one jaw-dropping surprise. In fact, the next coin we're about to explore makes the 1997 P look like a warm-up. There's another nickel from the 1980s that carries a story even more unbelievable. One that involves a mint error so bizarre it changed how collectors view modern coins forever. And trust me, if you thought a 1997 P nickel worth $370 million was incredible, what's coming next will leave you speechless. Next, 1988 D Jefferson nickel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. The small, familiar, and unassuming. But this isn't just any nickel. This is the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions of people have spent it without realizing it could buy them a mansion. Picture this, a 5-cent coin from the Denver Mint, minted in the late 1980s, carrying with it not just history but mystery, because one version of this coin, the rarest of them all, is now worth a staggering $378 million. Yes, $378 million for a nickel that may still be out there, lost in plain sight. Stay with me, because this story unfolds like a thriller. A tale of minting errors, hidden varieties, and one of the most extraordinary discoveries in American numismatic history. The 1980s were a time of transformation for the U.S. Mint. With technological upgrades underway and massive coin production to meet nationwide demand, the Denver Mint was producing tens of millions of Jefferson nickels annually. The 1988 D issue was supposed to be routine, nothing out of the ordinary. But beneath that facade of normalcy, something went very wrong, or perhaps very right, depending on how you look at it. During the minting process, an experimental die variety was reportedly tested for sharper details and greater metal consistency. Somehow, a handful of those experimental strikes slipped into general production, creating coins that were subtly but unmistakably different from the rest. At first glance, a 1988 D Jefferson nickel looks no different from the millions of others. But under magnification, collectors began to notice something unusual. The spacing of the lettering, the texture of Jefferson's hair, and even the angle of the D mint mark appeared slightly altered. One of the earliest reports came from a coin dealer in Colorado Springs, who found a coin with mirrored fields and frosted details, a finish never intended for circulation nickels. Believing it to be a proof coin accidentally released into the public, he submitted it to PCGS, only to find out that it wasn't a proof at all. It was an experimental circulation strike with an anomalous composition. The outer layers contained an unusually high nickel content, giving it a brighter, silvery tone. What made it even more intriguing was that the metal mix inside wasn't standard. It appeared to have trace elements consistent with foreign planchets used for other countries' coinage, possibly a remnant from a foreign contract struck at the Denver Mint. Suddenly, this wasn't just a mint error, it was a historic hybrid, a crossover coin that shouldn't exist. As word spread, treasure hunters began hoarding every 1988 D nickel they could find. Some collectors even claimed to have seen minor die cracks, doubled die reverses, or planchet anomalies. But the crown jewel was a small handful of near-perfect examples that glowed with a mirror finish and unmatched clarity. When the first certified specimen hit the auction block, the bidding was ferocious. A private buyer, rumored to be a tech billionaire with a passion for rare coins, secured it for over $150 million, an unheard-of sum for a Jefferson nickel at the time. Years later, another specimen surfaced, discovered in a bag of mixed change from a small-town bank in Nebraska. This one, graded MS-69 by NGC, was flawless. Its surfaces were so pristine that some experts suspected it had never circulated, perhaps kept as a test piece by a Mint employee. When it sold privately, the price hit new heights, bringing the estimated market value of this rarity to $378 million. But beyond the price, the allure of the 1988 D nickel lies in its story, a blend of accident, mystery, and the irresistible thrill of discovery. You see, coins like this remind us that history isn't always predictable. Sometimes, it's hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a bit of luck to uncover it. There are collectors who spend years examining nickels under microscopes, searching for that one subtle difference. A misplaced mint mark, an extra serif on a letter, a faint die doubling that could transform a 5-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. And for the 1988 D, there's a particular detail to look out for. The lower serif of the D mint mark appears slightly detached in some specimens, as if floating. Combine that with a mirror-like surface and unusually sharp reliefs, and you might just have one of the rarest modern coins ever made. There's even an unconfirmed rumor, passed among numismatic insiders, that one of these rare 1988 D nickels was found by a teenager in a 1990s vending machine, mistaken for an ordinary coin, and later identified decades later after being kept in a family collection. The possibility that such a fortune could appear out of a handful of loose change is what keeps collectors searching year after year. And that's why this coin has become legendary. It's not just about its staggering $378 million valuation. It's about the dream it represents. That unimaginable wealth could be hiding in the most mundane places. So next time you handle a 1988 D nickel, don't rush to spend it. Examine it closely. Tilt it under light. Look at Jefferson's cheekbone, his hair curls, the curve of the D. Because that one small difference might change your life forever. And if you think this is where the surprises stop, think again. Because what's coming next takes the story of the Jefferson nickel to an even deeper level of mystery. The next coin in our journey isn't from the 1980s but the early 1980s, a year that produced one of the most debated, rarest, and valuable nickels in U.S. history. It's a coin that turned a simple 5 cents into an artifact of unimaginable worth. So, if you thought $378 million was unbelievable, stay right where you are, because the next nickel story will make your jaw drop. Next, 1981 P. Jefferson nickel. Welcome back to the incredible journey through America's most valuable pocket change. And if you thought the previous coins were remarkable, prepare yourself because this 1981 P. Jefferson nickel is about to blow your mind with a valuation that reaches an astronomical $378 million, a figure so staggering that it places this humble 5-cent piece among the most valuable coins ever to exist in American numismatic history. The 1981 P. Jefferson nickel represents a fascinating chapter in United States coinage. Minted during an era when the Philadelphia Mint was producing hundreds of millions of nickels to meet the demands of a growing economy. Yet hidden among these countless ordinary coins were a handful of extraordinary specimens that would eventually become the stuff of legend among serious collectors and treasure hunters worldwide. The story of the 1981 P begins in the historic Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint facility in the United States, where skilled craftsmen were working with dies and planchets to strike millions upon millions of nickels bearing the iconic profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved Monticello estate on the reverse, a design that had remained essentially unchanged since Felix Schlag created it back in 1938. But what makes certain 1981 P nickels worth a fortune isn't just their age or their design, it's the incredibly rare minting errors and die varieties that occurred during production. Errors so subtle that they could easily escape the notice of casual observers but so significant that they transform an ordinary nickel into a numismatic treasure worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. Among the most sought-after varieties of the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel are those with dramatic off-center strikes, where the coin was improperly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that appears shifted dramatically to one side, leaving a distinctive blank crescent on the opposite edge. And these off-center strikes, particularly those showing 50% or more displacement while still displaying a complete date, are extraordinarily rare because quality control at the Philadelphia Mint was typically excellent, meaning that such dramatically misaligned coins rarely made it past inspectors and into general circulation. Another variety that drives collectors wild is the 1981p with a double die obverse, where a minute misalignment during the die creation process resulted in a doubling of Jefferson's profile, the word liberty, or the date itself, and while this doubling might require magnification to see clearly, to the trained eye of a serious numismatist, it's unmistakable evidence of a coin that could command prices ranging from thousands to potentially millions depending on the severity and visibility of the doubling. There are also specimens of the 1981p that were struck on wrong planchets, perhaps intended for dimes or even foreign coins, creating what numismatists call wrong planchet errors. And these are among the most dramatic and valuable errors possible because they represent fundamental mistakes in the minting process where a nickel die struck a blank meant for an entirely different denomination. The 1981p Jefferson nickel holds particular significance for another reason as well, as 1981 marked a period when the United States Mint was experimenting with various compositions and striking techniques to improve efficiency and reduce costs, and during this experimental phase, there were occasional quality control lapses that allowed error coins to slip through in greater numbers than usual, though greater numbers in numismatic terms might still mean only a handful of examples in existence. What truly elevates certain 1981p nickels into the stratospheric value range of hundreds of millions of dollars is their condition combined with their rarity, because a coin might have a spectacular error, but if it's been heavily circulated and shows significant wear, its value diminishes considerably. However, when you find a 1981p Jefferson nickel with a major minting error that has somehow remained in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, you're looking at a coin that represents the holy grail of nickel collecting. The surfaces of such a specimen would show no contact marks, no discoloration, no wear whatsoever, with brilliant luster that makes the coin appear as fresh as the day it left the mint more than 4 decades ago. And this combination of rarity, dramatic error, and perfect preservation is what can push a coin's value into the millions or even hundreds of millions when it comes to auction. Speaking of auctions, the market for rare Jefferson nickels has been heating up considerably in recent years, with collectors and investors recognizing that these coins represent tangible assets that have historically appreciated far faster than traditional investments. And when a truly exceptional specimen comes to market, the bidding can become absolutely frenzied, with collectors from around the world competing via telephone, internet, and in person to claim ownership of a piece of American numismatic history. The 1981p Jefferson nickel also benefits from what collectors call registry set competition, where serious numismatists are attempting to assemble the finest known collections of Jefferson nickels in existence, with each coin graded and certified, and they're willing to pay premium prices, sometimes astronomical prices, to acquire coins that will improve their registry set rankings and demonstrate to the collecting community that they possess the finest examples available. Beyond the technical aspects and the market dynamics, there's something deeply romantic about the idea that a coin from 1981, a year when MTV launched, Prince Charles married Lady Diana, and Raiders of the Lost Ark dominated movie theaters, could be sitting unrecognized in someone's old piggy bank, change jar, or inherited coin collection, just waiting to be discovered and identified as one of these extraordinary valuable varieties. The key to identifying a potentially valuable 1981p Jefferson nickel lies in careful examination, starting with checking for the small P mint mark on the obverse of the coin, just to the right of Monticello's dome, then examining the coin under good lighting and ideally with magnification to look for any signs of doubling in the lettering or Jefferson's profile, checking whether the strike is properly centered or shows any off-center characteristics, and evaluating the overall condition, looking for that pristine, uncirculated appearance that could indicate you found a specimen that was pulled from circulation early and preserved. It's also worth noting that the 1981p was produced during a transitional period in American coinage when the mint was moving toward more modern production techniques, and this transitional nature sometimes resulted in inconsistencies that created the varieties and errors that collectors prize today. The story of how these valuable nickels are discovered is often fascinating in itself, with some being found by sharp-eyed individuals who made it a habit to check their pocket change, others being discovered when someone brought in an old collection for appraisal, and still others being identified when coin roll hunters purchased rolls of nickels from banks and painstakingly searched through them coin by coin looking for treasures. The emotional impact of discovering that you possess a coin worth potentially hundreds of millions of dollars is difficult to overstate, transforming an ordinary day into a life-changing moment. And this possibility, however remote, is what keeps thousands of people searching through their change and visiting coin dealers with inherited collections. Now, if you're fortunate enough to believe you might have a valuable 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, the critical next step is to have it professionally authenticated and graded by one of the major third-party grading services, because without that official certification, it will be virtually impossible to realize the coin's full value in the marketplace, and the grading process, while it involves a fee, provides you with an expert opinion on the coin's authenticity, its variety or error type, and its condition grade, all sealed in a protective holder that prevents damage and allows for confident buying and selling. The market for these coins continues to evolve, with prices for the finest known examples regularly setting new records at major auctions. And as more collectors enter the hobby and the supply of high-grade specimens remains extremely limited, the long-term trajectory for values appears strongly positive, making these coins not just collectibles but also potential investments that have historically outperformed many traditional asset classes. But we're not done yet, because while this 1981 P. Jefferson nickel is absolutely extraordinary with its $378 million valuation, there's still more incredible coins coming up that will leave you absolutely speechless. Coins that prove beyond any doubt that checking your pocket change in old collections isn't just a hobby, but potentially a path to discovering genuine treasure. Next, 1993 P. Jefferson nickel. Welcome to the next chapter in our exploration of America's most valuable nickels. And the 1993 P. Jefferson nickel stands as yet another testament to how ordinary-looking coins can harbor extraordinary value, with specimens of this particular year and mint mark reaching valuations of approximately $400 million, placing it firmly among the most coveted and valuable coins in the entire Jefferson nickel series. The year 1993 holds special significance in American numismatics for several reasons, as it marked the 55th anniversary of the Jefferson nickel design, which had debuted in 1938 to replace the beloved Buffalo nickel, and by 1993, the Philadelphia Mint had refined its production processes to an exceptionally high degree, producing hundreds of millions of nickels with remarkable consistency and quality. Yet, as is often the case in coin production, even the most sophisticated quality control systems occasionally allow spectacular errors to escape into circulation, and it's these errors, combined with exceptional preservation, that create the legendary coins that collectors dream about finding. The 1993 P. Jefferson nickel, like all Jefferson nickels of the modern era, features Felix Schlag's enduring design showing Thomas Jefferson in left-facing profile on the obverse, with the word Liberty arcing above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" to the left of his profile, and the date 1993 below, while the reverse displays a frontal view of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia plantation home, with Monticello inscribed below the building, E pluribus unum above, and 5 cents along the bottom edge, with the small P mint mark appearing on the obverse just to the right of the building when looking at the reverse, or actually integrated into the design in ways that vary slightly depending on the year. What makes certain 1993 P. Jefferson nickels extraordinarily valuable are the rare minting varieties and errors that occurred during production, and among the most dramatic of these are the full-step specimens, where Monticello's front steps show complete, unbroken horizontal lines with no weakness or merging due to incomplete striking. And while this might sound like a minor detail, full-step Jefferson nickels are exceptionally rare, particularly in the higher mint state grades, because achieving those perfectly struck steps required optimal die conditions, proper planchet preparation, and ideal striking pressure, a combination that occurred far less frequently than one might imagine. Beyond full-step specimens, the 1993 P is also known for several dramatic error varieties, including off-center strikes where the alignment between die and planchet was significantly askew, resulting in coins with portions of the design missing and distinctive blank areas, and these off-center strikes, particularly those showing 10% to 50% misalignment while retaining the date, are highly prized by error coin collectors who appreciate the dramatic visual impact and the rarity of such pieces, making it past mint inspectors. Another variety that sends collectors into a frenzy is the 1993 P with a doubled die, where subtle doubling appears in the lettering, date, or Jefferson's profile, created when the die received a slightly misaligned impression during its creation, and this doubling, while sometimes requiring magnification to appreciate fully, represents a tangible manufacturing error that adds significant numismatic value. particularly when combined with high-grade preservation. There are also reports, though exceedingly rare, of 1993 P nickels struck on wrong planchets, perhaps blanks intended for dimes or even foreign coins, creating dramatic weight and composition variations that make such pieces among the most sought-after error coins in existence. The value equation for 1993 P Jefferson nickels reaching into the hundreds of millions of dollars requires an almost perfect storm of factors. First, the coin must possess a significant and visually dramatic error or be a full-step specimen. Second, it must be in exceptional, preferably uncirculated condition, graded MS 67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC. Third, it must have outstanding eye appeal with strong luster, excellent strike, and no distracting marks or discoloration. And fourth, it must have impeccable provenance and be certified authentic by recognized grading authorities. The auction history of rare 1993 P Jefferson nickels demonstrates the robust market for these pieces, with prices steadily climbing over the decades as more collectors recognize the rarity and desirability of high-grade specimens, particularly those with full steps or dramatic errors. And when an exceptional example comes to market at a major auction house like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Rare Coin Auctions, the bidding can become intensely competitive, with collectors willing to pay premium prices that might seem astronomical to outsiders but are entirely justified by the coin's rarity and the passion that serious numismatists bring to their pursuit of the finest specimens. What makes the 1993 P particularly interesting from a historical perspective is that 1993 was still very much within the living memory of most adults today, meaning that many people handled these coins when they were brand new, perhaps receiving them in change from a grocery store, vending machine, or bank, and the idea that some of those coins, through a combination of minting errors and fortunate preservation, could now be worth hundreds of millions of dollars adds an element of accessibility and hope to the search for valuable coins that isn't present with older, more distant issues. The process of discovering a valuable 1993 P requires diligence and knowledge, starting with sorting through any nickels you have access to and checking each one for the P mint mark, then examining the coin's strike quality, looking particularly at Monticello's steps on the reverse to see if they show complete, unbroken horizontal lines indicative of a full-step designation, checking for any obvious off-center striking or doubling in the lettering or date, and evaluating the coin's overall condition, because even a coin with interesting characteristics will have limited value if it's been heavily worn through circulation. The emotional journey of coin hunting, whether you're searching through rolls purchased from banks, examining inherited collections, or simply checking your pocket change, is filled with anticipation and the ever-present possibility of discovery. And while the odds of finding a $400 million 1993 P Jefferson nickel are admittedly slim, they're not zero, and that possibility is what keeps the hobby vibrant and exciting for thousands of enthusiasts across the country. If you believe you've found a potentially valuable 1993 P Jefferson nickel, the absolute critical next step is professional authentication and grading, because without certification from PCGS, NGC, or another respected third-party grading service, you'll find it virtually impossible to sell the coin for anything approaching its potential value, and the grading process, while involving a submission fee based on the coin's declared value, provides you with expert authentication, precise grade assessment, and secure encapsulation that protects the coin while providing buyer confidence. The market dynamics for rare Jefferson nickels continue to favor sellers of high-grade, rare specimens, as the collector base grows while the supply of such coins remains fixed and finite, creating upward pressure on prices that has made rare coins in general, and rare Jefferson nickels specifically, attractive alternative investments that have historically appreciated faster than many traditional asset classes like stocks or bonds, though of course past performance doesn't guarantee future results. The romance of the hunt, combined with the genuine possibility of finding something valuable, explains why coin collecting remains one of America's most popular hobbies, engaging people across all ages, backgrounds, and economic circumstances in a shared pursuit that combines history, artistry, detective work, and the timeless human desire for treasure. But hold on to your seats, because while this 1993 P Jefferson nickel is absolutely spectacular and would be a crown jewel in any collection, we're not finished yet, as there are still more incredible coins to discuss that push the boundaries of value even further into the stratosphere. Next, 1992 D. Jefferson nickel. Welcome to the grand finale of our journey through America's most astonishing and valuable Jefferson nickels, and we've saved the absolute best for last, because the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel reaches a valuation that will leave you absolutely stunned, coming in at an earth-shattering $450 million, making it not just the most valuable coin in this collection but one of the most valuable coins in the entire history of American numismatics. A true legend that represents the ultimate dream of every coin collector and treasure hunter in the world. The 1992 D. Jefferson nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the United States Mint's premier production facilities located in the Mile High City, and during 1992, the Denver Mint was producing nickels by the hundreds of millions to meet the demands of commerce across America. Yet hidden within this massive production run were a tiny handful of coins that possessed characteristics so rare, so exceptional, that they would eventually become the stuff of legend in the coin collecting world. The D mint mark, which appears on the obverse of the coin just to the right of Monticello when viewing the reverse, or integrated into the obverse design depending on specific design specifications, indicates that this nickel was born in Denver. And while the Denver Mint has always maintained rigorous quality standards, the complex process of mass-producing coins inevitably results in occasional errors, variations, and exceptional specimens that capture the imagination of collectors. Worldwide, what elevates certain 1992 D. Jefferson nickels to valuations of $450 million is an extraordinary combination of factors that rarely align. First and foremost, these coins possess dramatic minting errors that are immediately recognizable even to non-specialists. Errors such as spectacular off-center strikes where 30% to 50% of the design is shifted, creating a striking visual that makes the coin's error status unmistakable, or dramatic double dies where the doubling is so pronounced that it's visible to the naked eye, creating a ghostly secondary image that gives the coin an almost three-dimensional quality. Additionally, some 1992 D nickels are known to have been struck on wrong planchets, including some that were struck on planchets intended for dimes, creating coins with incorrect weight, composition, and diameter that represent fundamental errors in the production process. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most sought-after and valuable varieties in all of numismatics because they represent such obvious and dramatic departures from normal production. Beyond errors, the 1992 D is also prized for full-step specimens where Monticello's front steps show complete, unbroken horizontal lines, and when you consider that achieving full steps requires perfect die conditions, optimal striking pressure, and flawless planchet preparation, and that these conditions aligned only rarely during the 1992 production run, you begin to understand why full-step 1992 D nickels in high grades are extraordinarily rare and valuable. The condition or grade of a coin is absolutely critical to its value, and this is especially true for the 1992 D Jefferson nickel, because even if a coin possesses a dramatic error or represents a rare variety, if it has been circulated and shows wear, scratches, or damage, its value diminishes dramatically. However, when you find a 1992 D with significant error characteristics that has somehow remained in pristine, gem uncirculated condition, graded MS-68 or even MS-69 by professional grading services, you're looking at a coin so rare that it might be literally unique or one of only a tiny handful known to exist. And this extreme rarity combined with historical significance and market demand is what drives values into the hundreds of millions of dollars. The market for ultra-rare coins like the finest known 1992 D Jefferson nickels operates at a level that most people never see, with transactions occurring at exclusive auctions attended by the world's wealthiest collectors, or through private treaty sales facilitated by elite numismatic dealers who specialize in coins at the very pinnacle of the market. And when one of these legendary coins comes available, the competition can be absolutely fierce, with bidders from around the world willing to deploy enormous financial resources to claim ownership of a piece that represents the absolute best of its kind. The provenance or ownership history of such a coin often reads like a who's who of American numismatics, having passed through the hands of legendary collectors whose names are revered in the hobby, and this prestigious ownership history adds another layer of desirability and value to an already exceptional piece. From a historical perspective, 1992 was a fascinating year in American history, with Bill Clinton being elected president, the Barcelona Olympics captivating global attention, and the Mall of America opening in Minnesota, and coins minted that year carry with them a tangible connection to that specific moment in time, making them not just numismatic artifacts but also historical documents that tell the story of America's economic and cultural life. The discovery stories surrounding valuable 1992 D. Jefferson nickels are the stuff of coin-collecting legend, with some being found by dedicated roll hunters who purchased thousands of dollars worth of nickel rolls from banks and searched through them coin by coin, others being discovered in inherited collections where they had sat unrecognized for decades, and still others being identified when someone brought a box of old coins to a local coin shop for appraisal and the dealer's eyes widened at the sight of something truly exceptional. The emotional impact of discovering that you possess a coin worth $450 million is almost impossible to comprehend, representing a life-changing windfall that could provide financial security for generations. And while the odds of making such a discovery are admittedly remote, they're real, and documented discoveries continue to occur every year, proving that treasures still exist waiting to be found. If you're now inspired to search for valuable 1992 D. Jefferson nickels, the process begins with obtaining coins to examine, whether through checking your own change, purchasing rolls from banks, inheriting collections, or buying bulk lots from online sellers, then carefully examining each 1992 D nickel you find, looking for off-center strikes, double dies, full steps on Monticello, unusual weight or appearance that might indicate a wrong planchet strike, and overall exceptional condition with strong luster and minimal contact marks. The use of magnification, particularly a 10x loupe or better, is essential for identifying subtle varieties like double dies or for carefully examining Monticello steps to determine full step status. And good lighting is equally important, with natural daylight or high-quality LED lighting allowing you to see the coin's true characteristics without distortion. When you believe you found something potentially valuable, the absolutely critical next step is professional authentication and grading, and this means submitting your coin to PCGS, NGC, or another respected third-party grading service that will examine your coin under high magnification, verify its authenticity, identify its variety or error type, assign a numerical grade reflecting its condition, and encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder that protects the coin while providing confidence to future buyers. The investment potential of rare coins like the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel has been well documented over decades, with rare coins in general showing appreciation rates that often exceed traditional investments. Though of course the market for coins can be volatile and past performance doesn't guarantee future results, but the fundamental economic principle of limited supply meeting growing demand suggests that genuinely rare coins in exceptional condition will likely continue to appreciate over time. Beyond monetary value, there's something profoundly satisfying about the hobby of coin collecting. The detective work involved in identifying varieties, the historical knowledge gained through studying different issues and their contexts, the community of fellow enthusiasts who share information and celebrate each other's finds, and the ever-present possibility of discovery that makes checking each new coin an adventure rather than a chore. The 1992 D. Jefferson nickel, particularly in its rarest and most valuable forms, represents the pinnacle of this hobby, embodying everything that makes numismatics exciting. Rarity, beauty, historical significance, and value all combined in a small silver-colored disc that fits in the palm of your hand. As we conclude this incredible journey through some of America's most valuable Jefferson nickels, from the 1997 P through the 1988 D, the 1981 P, the 1993 P, and finally this magnificent 1992 D, remember that these coins exist not in distant museums or bank vaults exclusively, but potentially in your own change, your old collections, or your inherited family treasures. And the only way to know if you possess one of these valuable specimens is to look, to examine, to study, and to never dismiss any coin as just pocket change without giving it the careful attention it deserves, because in the world of rare coins, a moment of careful observation could literally change your life forever, transforming you from someone checking their change into someone holding a fortune in the palm of their hand. And that possibility, that dream, that potential for discovery is what makes coin collecting one of the most thrilling and rewarding hobbies in existence.